I can't describe it. Everything's different. Nothing stays the same.
Right.
Right. Have people stayed with you for a while, though?
Yeah, we've had, well, you remember Elaine, don't you?
Yeah.
She was, God, she's off and on. She must have been 50 years.
Well, that's a while.
That's a while. and you're in a you know, you can count yourself. Yeah.
I started there in 1932.
1932, and you're still working there. Jeannie's been with you for a long time.
Jeannie's been with us. She was with the other drugstore for a long time. Then John bought that store, you know, and moved it temporarily. I say it was a few years out in the mall and it didn't work, but Jeannie stayed with us all the time.
So she's been with you, what, about 30 years probably?
I have, well, it can't be that, probably 20.
20? Okay.
I'd say, I don't.
Did you ever get involved in politics in Charlevoix? Stayed out of that.
I had a chance to do it, I wouldn't. My dad was in politics in Charlevoix, and it wasn't good for business. You'd be surprised that, like on council, if you voted one way, one of your customers is going to leave you for that.
Yeah.
It happens. I made up my mind I'd never get into that.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly an excellent reason not to.
Yeah. I watched that so many times with Dad. Somebody get mad at him, and we wouldn't see him again for years in customer.
Do you have a philosophy on life?
Yeah, get along with everybody.
Makes a big difference.
And how do you do that?
And sometimes you have to bite your tongue, but
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's got to be get along with everybody. It has to be, it's pretty tough sometimes.
yeah.
Well, going back to when there was a big casino here in town, did you ever get over to the casino?
I know where it was, and it was a lively town back before the war. When I came back and after the war, it just fell apart.
Did you notice that?
The casino opened, you know where it used to be, is up
Yep.
on Mead Street there.
Up?
And it opened up after the war, and then somebody complained, and the police came in and broke everything up. Other than that, up to that time, when Mr. Cook ran it, I know that they said people didn't get in there unless Mr. Cook knew they could afford it.
Yeah.
And he had a nice dining room there, and he always had a nice band in there, and entertainment. In fact, I took music lessons when I was a kid up there from one of the band members.
Oh, did you? What did you play?
A bassoon.
A bassoon. Oh.
And then the Inn Hotel down to the end of the street there, that was always lively. That was
Which end of the street?
right at the end of Dixon Avenue, right by the. It was owned by the railroad.
Okay.
It went clear across the end of the block there.
Okay.
That was always. There was several resort hotels, and the Beach Hotel was at the other end of Dixon Avenue where the condos are now. Belvedere had a hotel.
All those were victims of burning, weren't they? Then most of them
Most of them were torn down.
torn down? Okay.
The inn was torn down just before the war because it wasn't making money, and that was the railroad. And then the Chicago Club, well, their building's still there. I don't know if they still rent rooms there in the summer or not. The clubhouse at the Chicago Club.
The Chicago Club, yeah. I don't know the answer.
And all of them had dining rooms, and all of them had dormitories for the college girls, the waitresses.
Right. So you worked with everybody. I mean, everybody came in from all classes.
Yeah.
all kinds.
What do you notice about the harbor, changes in the harbor that strike you?
A lot of condos.
A lot of
A lot of
condos.
Somebody said they wish they hadn't changed the appearance of the harbor. Well, it used to be a bunch of old docks and fish nets. And
Do you think it's changed for the
it
better?
looks nicer now, and yes, it looks much better now.
It's much better than it did, yeah. I've seen some of the old photographs, and I think I would agree, yeah.
There's a fish house on the north side of the lake, and there's booths on the south side of Fish House.
There are a lot of boat yards, but sometimes they can get a little junky sometimes.
Well, they usually are. I think, as I remember, there was something like 15 fish tugs working out of here at that time.
Wow.
Used to see them ship fish in the summertime by rail every night.
Okay. And that would have been probably in the 50s, 40s and 50s, or earlier?
Oh, earlier than that.
Earlier than that?
I don't remember.
1930s maybe?
Well, after the war, they were still fishing fairly well for a while. But not as many tugs.
They could make it as a living as a fisherman here?
Hmm?
They could make it as a living?
Oh, yeah. That was a big business for years,
Right.
the fishing.
Mainly out of the big lake?
On the big lake.
Right, not Charlevoix.
They fished it right out of trout.
Yeah, they did. We have a tendency to do that in Michigan. We take all the trees, we take all the fish.
They have a trout out in the lake now, but it isn't the same one that there was back then.
Really? What? How?
I don't know what the difference is. It's a different breed of trout.
Ah. Okay.
Were you a fisherman?
No.
Any kind of boating at all? Sailboating?
I like sailing. I still sail.
You still sail? Good. Where do you? What kind of boat did you sail?
I got a Pearson 26 that we race every Wednesday. And
Oh, good for you. It's because I think it's too many local people don't avail themselves of the boating, which everybody comes up here for. You know? So I think.
Oh, I could have sailed a couple times a week too, like in the summertime. I took my boat out last week. It was terrible.
well, our yacht club's quite active. And
So you've been a member there for a long time?
quite a few years, yeah.
Yeah.
How many people in your crew when you race?
I usually have 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you do in the standings, or do you care?
I don't really care. I just like to get out there, and I like the competition, but
Right.
if I don't win, I just like to get out there.
Yeah. It's a great challenge. Sometimes I think, boy, I wish they'd sail on Wednesday afternoon instead of Wednesday night. Because oftentimes the wind will just die.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It always does.
It'd be better if we had
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
4 o'clock, that's the
Yeah,
time.
3 to 4, somewhere in there, and you get the good.
But everybody's working, and
Yeah.
Do you feel like Charlevoix has been a pretty good place for you to live? And,
I wouldn't be anyplace else.
how long did your father work the pharmacy with you? Till when?
Came 14, he still working. He passed away in 66, he's still working.
Okay.
So, John and Lanny, have any retirement plans, or are they going to follow in your footsteps?
I have no idea what. They don't have a pharmacist coming up, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
My daughter's a pharmacist also,
Is she?
and she's got a son that's a pharmacist.
Oh.
Kind of ran the family a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Just a little bit.
It works. So.
Yeah. People are always sick.
Yeah.
It's like they always need haircuts.
Well, thank you so much for sharing
Well, I
some
hope
of
it-
those thoughts.
Hope I gave you something. I can't, it's probably something else I should have remembered, but
Well,
Remember what's important.
yeah.